Tyler, what do you think the odds of me finding those rattle traps again are? I don't ever remember. I don't ever remember seeing that color ever. But it's got all the ingredients, doesn't it? Yo, Mr. Porter, what's up? What is up? I am here to finish. There's my X-Acto. Probably that's what interested me in them. I saw them. I was like, man, I thought I seen every trap color known to man. And I'm not like a trap enthusiast, but I mean, I feel like over the course of years, you see them and you pretty much know what's out there. Uh, Jeremy, what's up, dude? Um, Tyler. So I watched Poche's video of him getting into that creek. Dude, that shit was skinny. I mean, that was a damn trickle. I was uh, I was pretty surprised at how uh, tiny that ditch he ran up was. Uh, Given he had a 90 on the back, because a 90 is pretty damn heavy. Um, but I guess you can deal with the weight a little better than you could deal with the width of the boat. Because if his boat would have been any wider, he'd have been screwed. But the is there any footage of him actually fishing in that place? Did he have a cameraman with him? Well, he was talking this morning on BTL, and he was like, there's lots of places with rocks in the mouth of them that I could have moved the rocks and gotten access to, and and went in there and caught them. He's like, but I didn't move any rocks. I didn't like, you know, do anything like that. So hearing that, I mean, the dude sounds like he's a do-gooder. He's a decent dude trying to like do the right thing and like, not give himself some crazy advantage. Um, but I don't think he would do that. I think the dude just wants to go fishing and get into his little backwater spots. But I don't. He just doesn't strike me as the type that's gonna uh, say I didn't do anything like that and then have done it. Um, so that's just my humble opinion. No, if he dug it out, he's a shitty digger. Uh, that's all I got to say about people who want to say he dug it out. If he dug it out, uh, he needs to go back to damn post hole school. And which I would, if I'm guessing, like if he really wanted to dig it out, he could put some sort of little like dredge behind his boat and like drag it out. Um, that's what he was talking about. That it wasn't that he thought it may be against state law, but he said I guess he just didn't feel right about it. So about moving rocks to get into somewhere, but it was interesting. I like it. I like it when some shit gets stirred up like that. Um, I like it. I'd like to know where. Yeah, Kyle, we're talking about old Keith. It happens every year here, especially up in Demopolis. There's always somebody getting somewhere that somebody doesn't want them to be. Um, but I will say, Poche, when he went in to film the video of how he got in, his cameraman really screwed the pooch because he was like, "Here's how I get in," and like juiced it, and the cameraman like turns the camera to the damn floor. It's like you can't see anything, dude. You had one job, bro. We just wanted to see you run in this little damn tiny ass pond. Fish in the southeast, Kyle. Yeah, there's always. I mean, till the end of time, until they tell people that they can't fish out of little boats, there will always be shit getting stirred about it. Um, but I don't like the brush pile thing either. Like I don't care about little boats. Um, I don't like the brush pile thing because I like in a pure tournament format. If we're all fishing, I want all of us to fish the river as it lies naturally. Um, as far as me wanting competition, you know what I mean? To like fun competition that to me is the best. Um, but uh, people have been sinking brush for years, so it doesn't really matter. And the thing about it is, there's so much damn brush out there anyway. You really probably don't even need to sink it. You just have to spend more time idling. Um, but I don't. I don't know. I know there's been huge amounts of careers and sums of money made by people dropping brush piles and shit. But as far as a tournament goes, I would prefer everybody to just show up, fish the water as it naturally is, and see who comes out on top. Nothing wrong with that. But you'll never see it. That's that's something that's been done since the early days. So that's what would like that Tim Maynard and I were talking about the I guess it was the '92 Classic at Logan Martin. Um, Guys supposedly took batteries like deep cycle batteries and popped the caps on them and dropped them on the brush piles and shit that Rick Clum was fishing. Um, there was apparently guys that would go out there at night with hooks and move brush piles around. So like it might have been Robert Hamilton that showed up on some of his stuff, and like his brush piles had just mysteriously vanished. Um, I mean, you say that shitty ass graphs and stuff they had. Um, Tyler, I will say, I've dropped a few green limbs during a shad spawn in my day. Won't say I haven't done that, but they do give you an advantage. Uh, like I know, I mean that is 100% a straight. That is a 100% way to catch a damn bag. Um, Slay Nation, I have watched that Robert Hamilton 20 feet deep on BTL, and it's so damn creepy that it sends chills down my spine, dude. When he starts talking about that dude in jail and then sees him at the damn classic with the black eyes, fuck that shit, dude. I think that's the real issue, Tyler, is that if you don't do it, somebody else is going to. So you're kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't. So you might as well jump in and get the damn saw blade out. Travis Stearman, what's up? Uh, so, and I can for sure tell you that uh, there are times, like, sure, you can go catch a bag on natural green stuff. Um, in the spring when the shad are spawning. But if you go to an area that's kind of shitty, I wouldn't say shitty, but it's not like cover rich. You know what I mean? It's not like lush grass beds everywhere. Um, Maybe more wood oriented type water. And you drop you some damn green limbs sticking in the water a little bit. Fish are on that stuff like stink on shit, dude. You will pull every fish in damn 2 miles of that place to those damn green trees. Um, so I don't know what that color's called. It's like a carpy looking color. It's a WEC color, I believe. Um, but I used to fish the McNider Marine Trail here in that fished Demopolis and Miller's Ferry on the Alabama River, and we got we were fishing this tournament one day up at Demopolis, and we had gone and we had looked at some spots to fish, and somebody had gone, and I'm not an advocate of this. They had gone and they had cut the whole damn tree down, like at the base or like halfway up the trunk. They laid the whole damn tree over, just killed the trees dead as shit. But they cut down like 10 of them and laid them in this creek. And it's not necessary to cut the whole damn tree down. It's stupid. But uh, like you could catch the same fish just cutting limbs off. So, but they laid the whole damn tree down, and we got in there and we were looking around, and I told Jody, I was like, "Well, this is awesome." Like somebody already did the work for us, and I said, "We'll just come in here and fish these trees." Well, the next morning, um, we get in there, or we're sitting there floating, waiting to blast off, and the tournament director gets on the damn megaphone, and he's like, "Hey, I got word if somebody's cutting down trees. If I catch you in there, you're disqualified, and if I find out who it was, you're disqualified for life." I was like, "Shit." Uh, I didn't cut them down, but that was going to be my first stop. And Jody was like, "Do we go in there?" I was like, "I don't, I don't think we can now." I was like, because if I mean, maybe I mean, you can't like I didn't do anything wrong. I just found where somebody cut some trees down. Um, but dude, there's Tyler. There's so many ways. Like it's people are so fucking smart. Like here's a prime example. I used to keep a sawzall on my boat for this very thing. Uh, you want to drop a limb or two, get a few shad bubbling up on it in the morning, no big deal. But it previous to this tournament, the only reason I did it was because somebody told me that XXX was also doing it. And I was like, well, shit, I'm not going to let them just go cut down all the limbs and go blast 4 pounders in the morning. So I started doing the same. And it wasn't until that tournament that they outlawed bush trimming. But I was talking to somebody in practice, and we were talking about the damn bushes, cutting bushes or whatever. And I was like, "Yeah, that really sucks." And he was like, "Yeah, they said you can't cut bushes." I was like, "Yeah." He said, "They didn't say you can't tie a rope to the limb and tie a block to it." I was like, "You smart son of a bitch." Never even like crossed my mind to weight the limb down to where it hangs in the water. People will always find a way, dude. People will always find a way. And that's the kind of thinking that impresses me. But that's also the kind of thinking that gets people gets rules made up about them. But pretty clever, pretty clever. Um, and when you do that, it just looks like a damn limb line, honestly. But so keep that in your rule book, gentlemen. If you're fishing tournaments and you like hanging limbs for shad spawn fish, um, if they outlaw cutting the limb, just tie a string and a weight to it. Kelly Outdoors, possibly. What you got? If it's about clear coat, then no, because I'll go on a rant. But you can try. Um, so The amazing thing is how fast fish get on green limbs. Like I've seen it take hours. Um, have any of y'all had to do that, or is that just a down south thing? Oh, Tyler, how come I cough when I spray clear in my parents' closet? Oh, great question, AJ. Because the door is not shut close enough. You're not confined enough. You need to shut yourself into the closet. And you don't need the overhead light. You need to burn a candle for lighting. I'm kidding. You'll blow yourself up. Don't do that. Uh, oh, one of my best tourneys was on a pallet. Someone had put a pallet in the middle of a grass bed to make a hole in it. Did they sink it, or was it floating? I used to get all the Christmas trees in my neighborhood and lay them all over the lake. Jeremy, I used to collect Christmas trees as well, and I was too damn lazy to take them and put them out. My dad always put them out for crappie, but um, I used to bring all this shit up there to like sink, and I never did it. It just sat on the damn bank. Um, it just sat on the bank, and then my dad would take it out and crappie fish around it. But the weird thing about like all the brush piles and shit my dad crappie fishes around that he's sunk over the years, um, he very rarely catches bass on them, which is odd to me. Oh, Tyler, what I was going to tell you was I don't know if you follow gator gator killing, but on the Alabama River at Miller's Ferry, we had quite a reputation of having gigantic alligators. So there was, I don't know if it still is, but um, the world record alligator was killed at Miller's Ferry, which is my home body of water. I think it was called the Fancher Gator. It was almost 16 feet long and like 1,100 pounds or something. Huge gator, huge gator. Um, and I've fished around that gator before. Um, and there was another one that came in the next year that was like just shy of 15 or 15 feet and like 1,000 pounds or something. That was huge. But that one was killed on the riverbank, and I had seen that gator also. Um, so it used to swim across the river, and you'd see it in this damn gigantic head going across the river. But I'd seen it in a couple different places, like in relation to that little stretch of riverbank. But anyway, so it was uh, it was in the late spring, and I was going down the riverbank. It wasn't late spring; it was probably early summer. And I was going down the riverbank, and there was these big willow trees hanging over the bank. So the trees grew out and like over like that, and the ends were stuck in the water, like everything you could ask for. And there wasn't a ton of the tree in the water. It was just like, you know, this much green shit sticking into the water. Perfect. So I'm going and fishing the outside of them, and I got my buddy George with me, and he's in the back, and he's no like hardcore fisherman. He's just a dude that likes to go fishing. So he's in the back, and I'm going down these willow trees, and the last one is hanging over, and I had like skipped a jig under the front part of this tree, and I didn't get any bites, and I was like, this is real weird. I said, I told George, I said, George, I'm gonna swing around. I'm gonna swing around the back of this tree, and I'm gonna see if these fish are like on the inside of the limbs rather than the outside. He's like, okay. So I come around the tree. Here's the tree. I swing the boat around. And when I swing the boat around the blind spot in that tree where it's hanging over, once I get around where I can see the bank, there is that 15-footer laid up 10 feet from me staring at me. And I told George, I said, don't fucking move. He's like, huh? I was like, shut the fuck up. I was like, don't move, dude. He's like, why? Because where he was still blocked by the tree, and I'm sitting here staring at this damn thing. And he said, what? And I was like, just shut up, don't move. I'm gonna ease out of here. So I like gently hit the trolling motor, kind of turn the head of the boat. And I was like, if this son of a bitch comes off the bank, it's gonna be a damn ruckus. So I luckily was able to swing the boat out gently and not like scare this gator. And anyway, we turned the boat out and got away. And after we got the boat like turned around, the gator slid off and went into the water behind the boat. And George saw it and he was like, holy shit. And I was like, yeah, that son of a bitch was like at the end of my rod tip, bro. He was like, that's a big ass gator. I was like, yeah, it's a real big gator. And like 4 months later, somebody bagged that one. But it was that was probably the biggest one I've ever been close to. That was one about 13 feet that I don't know that anybody's killed yet. But this was probably my scariest gator encounter. So I was fishing this big flat bay, pond, whatever you want to call it. And the whole thing is like a shallow taper. And like the deepest part is probably like 2.5 feet. And it just like tapers up into dirt. So, I mean, half the time you're casting into mud. And so I was trolling around. And my boat's probably in 1.5 feet of water. And, and I'm going down the bank. And I see this gator like way up on the bank, which is like a good ways away from me because it's all like mud and grass and bullshit before it gets to like fishable water. And I see this gator and I just keep fishing up towards him because I know I'm far enough away from him that I shouldn't spook him. Dude, I'm trolling down the bank swimming a jig and I get like straight I get straight parallel like in front of the damn gator. And that son of a bitch throws his tail and just barrels like nosedives into the damn mud. And that son of a bitch is running directly at me, just as hard as he can. And I was like, where is this son of a bitch going? And it's only 1.5 feet deep. So this is going to get interesting. And I watched that son of a bitch. I'm talking about a damn, 800-pound gator or more come straight at me in a foot of water. So he's probably 2 feet tall, right? At least, if not more. Um, and his whole back's out of the water, his head's out of the water, and he's just like giving it hell. And he goes right at me, and he goes under my boat. Well, the problem is he's bigger than the water is deep. So when he goes under my boat, he pushes my boat up and like whips his tail and goes on the other side of my boat. I had to I had to I had to compose myself for a minute, and then I think I went back and changed my underwear because I think I soiled myself after that. But that was a bad that was a bad day. Um, the frisbee-sized wasp nests are they're everywhere. They are everywhere. They're not as bad, I don't feel like, as they used to be. Um, I don't feel like I see those big gigantic ones. Um, but the biggest, I can say, the biggest gator that I've ever seen that I can't, I can't guarantee that it's the biggest. Um, but I was fishing in this lake that's like an oxbow lake, and I was in there fishing down this bank, and it was like a channel bank, and I saw something that looked like a it looked like a it looked like a storm had come through and blown somebody's, like, a section of their picket fence into the water, and it was floating, like the pickets of the top of the fence were like a section of the fence was floating in the water. And I told Jody, I was like, let's go over here and fish around this fence. He's like, what? I was like, let's go throw around this floating fence. Well, I started trolling over there to fish around it, and I got up to it and I looked, and it was not a fence. It was an alligator's tail, and it was laid over like that much. Um, so I looked at my trolling motor, and you could see the gator's whole body. He was nose down, or probably she was nose down on the bottom, like looking at something. And after that, after we trolled by, the gator's tail like flopped over. And I told Jody, I was like, that was a big ass gator. And he was like, how big? I was like, well, to put it in perspective, I could see on my graph the gator's nose being pretty close to the bottom. And I saw the end of its tail at the surface, and it probably had another 1.5 feet or 2 foot of tail that went down that was curled over. I was like, and we're in 15 foot of water. And he's like, so what would that mean? I was like, that would mean that was a 16-foot alligator. And he's like, nah. And I was like, I'm just telling you, dude. Like, that son of a bitch was nose down on the bottom, and his body went straight up, and his tail was laid over. I was like, I'm just telling you, that was a freaking dinosaur. But that was probably the biggest one I've ever. I never saw that one's like body, but I had a basis. Um, Tyler, you can read about the one. You can read about the one that they killed, the Fancher, or I think it was called the Fancher Gator, the one that was like 15.9 and like 1,200 pounds or whatever. Um, that one had all kinds of weird shit in his stomach. I think he'd eaten like a doe. It had a couple dog collars in his stomach. Had all kinds of weird shit in his stomach. Um, but Kelly Outdoors, let me see. I've never done this before. Um, would you send me a couple lures to review on Instagram and YouTube? I don't have any lures. Unfortunately. What would you like to review? I'll review your Instagram and YouTube channel and then go from there. How's that sound? We'll review each other. Um, Typically, when I've done that in the past, it hasn't worked out too good. They killed a bigger one. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Hell, they might have killed it the next year. Like it was pretty close after that. That I think that one got trumped. But dude, there's some. I don't know. Like I think part of it, the Stokes Gator, 15 foot, 1,000 pounds. Yeah, that was. I saw both of those living. Um, the Stokes Gator might have been the one under the willow tree. Um, but I think what it is, Tyler, is that like nobody really killed them. Gray can tell you about them. Gray, we're talking about big ass gators at the ferry. Gray, you gator hunt up there? Can you put me on a Magnum? If you'd have tuned in earlier, um, I was telling gator stories about all the giants I've seen at the ferry, and the biggest one I've ever seen. Um, I don't know that anybody's killed yet, um, or if it's even it's surely dead by now. But no, I didn't draw a tag. I wouldn't. I ain't into that stuff. But um, I think there's bigger. Um, I think there's bigger out there. Maybe not anymore, but I know back in the day, um, I saw a couple that I think would rival the two record ones. Um, uh, but Gray, you missed the story that was most interesting to me was that in Houseboat, you know where my camp is. If you go across to that pond, across the Houseboat Slough, where it makes that big kind of pond back in there, there was a big giant one back in there, and that one came off the bank and swam under my boat in a foot of water. And then when he came under my boat, he pumped it and hit it with his tail and like pushed my boat up. Um, But that one over there, I don't know that anybody ever killed that gator. But that one was real. That one was real, um, like jumpy. Um, a lot of them, when they get big, don't get jumpy, but that one, that one in my slough was jumpy. Like you get remotely close to it, and it was coming off the bank hard. And the weird thing about that one was I never saw that one on the river. Like most of the time in those you know in that water that borders the river, they'll slide over the riverbank and get into the river and dick around, and you'll see them swimming out into the river. That one never got into the river. It just stayed in that. It just stayed in that little pond. Um, but no, I've never had besides that one coming up under my boat. I've never had the big ones be real jumpy. They always seem real chill, um, which I never liked dicking with them. But it's I'm glad they've got a gator season because I really really did not like. Um, I just didn't like fishing shallow and never knowing when one of them damn things is going to come off the bank. Gray, I was fishing in Cottonhouse one winter, and I was going down the bank, and that's when we had hyacinths everywhere, and I was flipping hyacinths, and I was looking in the hyacinth mat, and there was this. It looked like a if y'all are familiar with a gumbo mutter tire, it looked like there was a gumbo mutter floating in the mat of hyacinths. And I was like, ooh, I'm gonna flip this tire. I'm sure it holds heat this time of year. And I flipped my little beeve over there, and it went, and the tail like moved real slow. And I was like, oh, that's not a damn gumbo mutter. That's an alligator's tail, and it was a grown up. But what I was gonna say earlier, Tyler, is I think there wasn't like we didn't have a gator season for the longest time, and I don't think there was anybody up there really killing a whole lot of those things. So I just think they just sat up there and just got big. Um, that's the only thing I can think of. I don't know that there was anything different about what they ate or uh, anything like that. Um, back when I was a kid, there used to be a giant one at the mouth of Alligator that sat out there by that cypress tree on the left hand side going in. I never fished that. I never fished in Alligator on that left hand side because that gator was always there. Um, and now, like even still, I kind of get the heebie-jeebies going over there and fishing in that little corner uh, because I was always so scared as a kid for that big ass gator to come off the bank. But yeah, if you've never had a 13-footer come off the bank at your boat, it's not fun. And that's what's funny. Like when you tell people, you're like, "Oh yeah, I saw a damn 12-footer." They're like, "Nah," or you saw a 14-footer or 12-footer. They're like, "Nah, nah, nah." You don't know how big a 12-footer is. It's like, oh, bro, we know. We got them. We got them. Biggins. I remember my dad was dicking around out in front of our camp one day, and he was in a John boat and he had a paddle, and he was like paddling around to like put out a trot line or some shit. I don't know what he was doing. But I was out on the dock and I was looking out across the water, and I could see this gator swimming across towards him. And I said, "Hey!" And he looked over at me, waved his paddle in the air. I started pointing, and I was looking at his John boat, and it was 12 feet long. And I was looking at this gator from the tip of his nose to his tail swimming, and I was comparing it to that boat. I was like, yeah, that gator's bigger than that boat. And it kept getting closer, and I kept pointing, and he was looking around. He couldn't figure out what I was talking about. And finally, it clicked, and he saw that damn gator swimming at him. He was like, He started stroking real hastily to get back to the damn camp. But that's how I used to always judge them. It was easier to judge when I had a bass tracker. But back in those days, I feel like we had some like real giants, because there was a black one that was down in Cotton House that was huge. He wasn't real long, but he was a thick boy. Um, oh, we got a lot going on. We got a lot going on the YouTubes. Let me go back and check these questions. Uh, no real new color, same old stuff from yesterday. Um, Dropping brush piles. Anyone ever drop rock piles? Just take loads of rocks out and dump them on the same spot. Something I wanted to try and draw less pressure than a giant brush pile. Um, Morgan, you'd probably be you could probably take be easier to handle, but maybe 5-gallon buckets with Quikrete in them. They like to lay across the ramp south of here at Millwood. You know what likes to lay across the boat ramps at Town Lake in Austin? Homeless people. I've almost killed like 3 of them, running them over with my trailer, and my trailer, because they're passed out on the damn boat ramp at daylight. Um, I've had an old turtle fisherman tell me twice he feeds one consistently on the Sabine Island that's over 15. I can see that. Um, I'll. This may be a fishing tale. Hold on, before I get into this, let me see if these questions I've missed. Have fun in Gibson. If you haven't fished it, you have ski your bass around the time of the year from alligators. Oh, really? Had to shake something under your britches leg, pretty much. I lived in Florida where gators scared me, but man, it seemed like they were scared of a trolling motor. Yeah, some of them were down here. Old buckshots. Uh, we were at Demopolis on the Tombigbee River, me and Jody back in the day, and we went back up in this creek, this remote Poche type creek, and there was this clay, like kind of bluff wall banking it, and and we were fishing down the bank, and all of a sudden, this boulder rolls off the hill and tumbles down the hill and falls into the water. And Jody looked at me and he said, "Oh my God, you know what that was?" And I said, "Yeah, that was a damn turtle." And he's like, "No way, dude." I'm like, "Jody, that turtle was like 5 feet wide. Like, it was probably the most gigantic turtle I've ever seen in my life, dude. It was literally that big. It looked like, I don't even know what you could compare it to. It was like the trunk of a car, like rolling down a hill. And I don't know what kind of turtle it was. but it never came up. It just went down. But that was probably uh, the freakiest thing I've seen in the wild while fishing, because whatever kind of turtle that was had to be some sort of record. Um, monster, monster. You know, one of my buddies couldn't get about a 10-footer to move off the ramp so he could launch his boat, throwing stuff at it wouldn't budge. Yeah, I don't like gators. I'm not a huge fan of theirs. I remember when I was little, we were fishing up there, and there was this little buzz bait chaser. And y'all, anybody that fishes around gators know those little ones that'll follow a buzz bait for like miles. Um, and there was this little gator sitting swimming around by the boat, and I was a kid, and I asked my dad, and I was like, "How fast are these? How fast do you think these gators are?" He's like, "They're pretty damn fast." And I was like, "You think so?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Let's see how fast he is." And I pitched my little bait over there, and I hit him right in the nose, and that son of a bitch went like faster than you could blink, dude, and was going like before I had any time to react. And I hooked him, and he was flopping around. My old man said, "What are you gonna do with him now? You're gonna get him off." He's like, "Nah, he's yours." I was like, "Please help me." So he reached down there and grabbed him by the neck and got the hook out and threw him back. He's like, "Pretty quick, huh?" I was like, "Yeah, real quick." So fast forward about 10 years later, me and my buddy Wayne and Rob are all fishing in the boat. And my buddy Rob sees this little gator, and we're fishing in my boat. And he sees this little gator, and he's throwing a trick worm, like a pink trick worm. And this gator's chasing his little trick worm around, and he's like playing with it. I was like, "Rob, you're going to dick around and hook this damn thing." And he's like, "I'm going to catch him." Like, "Do what you want." It's like, "But I'd rather you not." And so he hooked him, and he's playing with him. And he was like, he gets him up to the boat, and he's like, "What? How am I going to get this thing off?" I was like, "I don't know. Get him off, dude." He's like, "I'm going to cut the line." I was like, "No, you're not cutting the damn line and leaving that damn worm in his mouth." He's like, "I ain't touching him." I was like, "All right, bring him up here." So he got him up beside the boat, and I grabbed him behind the head, got the pliers, and took him out. And Wayne and Rob were on the back of the boat. I took that gator and threw it in the bottom of the boat. And those son of a bitches' eyes got the size of golf balls. And that gator looked at him and went, I said, "Get him, gator." And they were like, "Oh, what'd you do that for?" I was like, "Well, you wanted to play with him, so play with him." They're like, "Dude, get him out of the boat. He's gonna eat my tackle box." I was like, "Well, get rid of him." And that gator laid around on the bottom of the boat for a little while. Eventually grabbed him up and threw him back in. But the look on their faces was priceless. You want to play with him, have fun. All right. I think I'm complete unmasking all the bills. Wonderful. All right. Uh, I think if we had more homeless around Miller's Ferry, the Gators would certainly not mind uh, homeless table fare. Hayden, it could have been a loggerhead, dude. I don't know what that thing was. High dollar duck dog around gator habitat could get expensive. Yeah, they say a gator can smell a dog up to a mile. Like they really love eating dogs. Um, so we were always, you know, uh, conscious of that. We were duck hunting one day, and we were walking into this timber, um, and as we walked in, or actually we were walking out, and it was one of those like warm, unseasonably warm, like winter days, and we were walking out, and we spooked this doe up, and the doe goes running through the damn woods into the swamp, and she almost makes it to the water, and we hear "Ah," and like a car wreck, dude, like the most thrashing, gnarly, like primitive thing you've ever heard. Like all like hell is breaking loose, and we just hear this doe going "Ah, ah, ah," and a gator had gotten her when we were walking out, which wasn't that bad. The bad part is we were probably hunting like 100 yards from where that damn gator was hanging out, and we walked in there in the dark like idiots. Like it never dawned on me. I guess that's the good thing about being like a young dumb kid is like when you do shit like that, like you're not scared because you're too dumb to realize that there's maybe a like gigantic alligator living in there, like eating whole does. Um, so, but after that, I was pretty particular about where I walked. Um, I caught a damn cottonmouth last Tuesday. I thought it was a fish running shad like they've been doing back in this pocket. Casting and landing right on top of it. About the time I saw it was a snake. Um, a buddy at work has a $15,000 yellow lab. He always hunts with something specifically for gators. Wow. Um, Hell, are you asking me or are you asking the gentleman on the YouTubes? Um, I'm trying to think. I've had some interesting snake. I was fishing with my buddy Joey one day when we were in college, and we were going down this bank, and he's not a pro fisherman or anything, so his his casting ability isn't great. Um, and we were going down this bank, and there was this bush that had like two cottonmouths in it, and it was like summertime. It was hot, and I saw these snakes, and I was like, "Yo, Grinch, don't throw in that bush." And he's like, "What?" And I was like, "Don't throw in that bush right there." And he's like, "Okay." And he casts and like hits the bush, like in it. And I was like, "You son of a bitch." He was like, "What?" I was like, "You just threw right into that bush." He was like, "Oh yeah, what's the problem?" I was like, "It's got two cottonmouths in it." And he was like, "Oh." And he starts shaking his bait to get loose. Dude, it starts raining snakes out of this tree. Like two was the tip of the iceberg. There was probably like a dozen snakes fall out of this tree, like start hitting the damn water. And I'm like having a damn panic attack, dude. I was like, holy shit, dude. I was like, break that shit off. And he's like, no, nah, dude, that's the only one I got. I'm like, that's the only spinnerbait I got. I'm like, dude, I will give you 10. Just pull that off and hope that you don't hook a snake when you're pulling it off and your bait come free and like sling a snake on you like in Funny Farm. But that's probably the most snakes I've ever seen in a tree. That was terrifying. Um, I hooked a big gator one time, about a 12 footer, thinking it was a log. I was throwing a frog, and we were coming up on this point. It was a pretty good ways away, and it looked like there was a log like laying in the water like this. So when you have stumps everywhere, and then you have a lay down log, that's usually money. So I bombed a cast with my frog over towards this log, and I like twitched it by the log. Then the log ate my frog. And like I said, I just hooked a 12-foot gator in the damn face with a bronze-eye. And it's like going berserk, dude. And Jody was with me, and he was like, can we leave? I'm like, I'm still attached to this gator, dude. And he's like, cut the line. I was like, how? He's like, I was like, why don't you get the damn scissors and cut it off? So he's like, will you troll that way? I was like, sure. So we started trolling off, and he like cut my line. But that one was too big for a removal. Um, my shit my pants moment was wading in the Ouachita River, and a big ass beaver swam between my legs. I screamed out loud at that one. I had a interesting beaver encounter. No, not in college. After a long night at the bar, this was in the woods. I've only seen one of those timber rattlers alive. Marty ran over with my side by side. So I was duck hunting by myself, and I was sitting on the bank, and I had a few decoys out, and it was like getting late. It was like afternoon, and I was sitting there with my shotgun, just like propped up, and my feet were like right at the edge of the water, and like I said, I probably had like 6 decoys out, and this beaver kept jumping up and swimming through my decoys, and he wouldn't leave. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to exterminate this damn beaver. So, and this was a big one, like one of those big fat boys. So I reach over there and grab my shell belt. I grab number 2, and I take actually had T-shot, excuse me. So I take a regular, whatever I was shooting, 2s or 4s or whatever. I put this T-shot in there that I goose hunted with, and that beaver came up. When he came up, water blows up. Beaver goes down. Like, all right, beaver's done, dude. About like the water had like calmed down a little bit. Beaver resurfaces, starts going back through the damn decoys. It's like, you son of a bitch. Put another one in there. Big water explosion. Beaver keeps swimming around, goes down. It's like, all right, surely he's dead. Oh no, the third shot. And then it was like, you shoot and nothing's moving. Like, you can tell like something happened. Like, this thing's dead now. So I'm sitting there, and the water has calmed from the from the from the shot. Your ears kind of quit ringing, like everything's calmed down. I'm sitting there, and my feet are stuck out, and all of a sudden, this bloody faced beaver comes crawling out of the water at my feet, and he's like missing an eye. He's got blood running down his face, and I'm like, no way, dude. So I like scoot back and like shoot him again right in the face. and he like crawls one more step and like lays over right at my feet. I'm lucky I didn't blow my feet off, but that was probably the toughest beaver I've ever seen. If y'all think beavers are bitches, they are they are badasses. They're like a pig. Those son of a bitches are tough, dude. But that scared the shit out of me. Um, uh, Not much, Rich. Just telling more stories about gators and snakes and beavers and shit. Tim, you missed some good ones. There's that's what it looked like, Marty. The thing looked possessed. I can tell you, he was pissed. That gator was not happy about me blasting him in the damn head. Uh, this is the Beans bath toy that she plays with, and she broke the tail off of it, so I had to come and glue the tail back together. But yeah, I try and I'd forgotten most of these stories until I think back on them. I'll have to go back and look, Marty. I can't remember what day it is. Tim, you can go back and listen. I'll save this one. Yeah, I was actually pretty shocked at the. I was actually pretty shocked at how tough that damn beaver was. And we used to have one that we had a culvert that ran beside our camp, and the beavers would get in that ditch and they would go in that culvert and fill that culvert up. And my neighbor Gene, he came over there and got me, and uh, he's like, "Hey, can you help me get this beaver out of the ditch?" I'm like, "Yeah, what's wrong?" And he's like, "I shot him." He's like, "I think it's a record." I was like, "You think it's a record beaver?" He's like, "This thing's huge." And I was like, "Okay." And said, I couldn't be more because when you're up there fishing, like everything's pretty boring, and then like world record beaver, okay. So I like ran over there, and he's like, "We need some sort of like gaff or stick or something." I was like, "You got like a net or something long?" He's like, "Let me go look." So he went and like brought out this old like dip net, and we like put a piece of PVC pipe on it to like extend it. And I was like, he's like, "You got long arms. See if you can reach him." So I kneeled down and got on my knees to get extra distance, and I'm like reaching for this damn world record beaver, and I get him like kind of coming towards me, and I get him scooped up. I'm like dragging him in. I get him up and I put him on the bank, and I'm like, "Ow!" And he's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Something just bit me." And this whole time I'm trying to dig this beaver out of the ditch, my knee was in a fire ant bed. So that one that bit me caused a chain reaction for all the other ones to go berserk. So everybody else started hammering down on the old painter's leg. So I'm like trying to get these damn ants off. Once the smoke cleared, I think I had like 80 something ant bites on my leg. Like it looked like I had like it was awful, dude. Like I look like a damn leper on my right leg. I probably still have scars from it, but it was a monumental amount of fire ant bites on one leg. Uh, but that was the most time I've ever been bitten by fire ants. Trying to get the world record beaver out of a ditch. We got his ass though. Wasn't a world record though. Just a big fat one. Bunner beaver. I dated a couple. Pope and Young Beeve. Uh,
Yeah, the fire ants aren't fun. I guess they're everywhere in the U.S., or do some places in the U.S. not have fire ants? I got surrounded by beavers one time while I was in a John boat fishing a pond. They ran me out of there. Beavers are badasses, dude. And they're pros at making you damn jump out of your skin, especially when you're like fishing down the bank and it's like nice and calm and quiet and you're like in the zone, like really focused on what you're doing. Like if you're like flipping or like, you know, doing something. And then all of a sudden one just goes slaps his tail. Asshole beaver. But you got to have a damn 50 cal to kill that son of a bitch. When I moved to Arkansas, says Burns, in 94, there were no fire ants. Now I'm assuming you are overrun with fire ants. You got them, Morgan? Yeah, I think they actually came in through the port of Mobile, I heard, from South America. I believe, or it was either Mobile or New Orleans, if I remember correctly. Could be wrong, but I want to say I heard that. Uh, Tim, sounds like you need to go back and do a beaver roundup. 28 years later, they're everywhere. Where's Rich? Rich, y'all got fire ants in Pennsylvania? Tim, you got fire ants in the Carolinas? Arkansas is getting more gators too. That's exciting. I'll find a way to get cross with them. Everything, things every year somehow. Yeah, I haven't had a good fire ant infestation in many years. Um, but I'd never seen a what lives in the ground. Is it a hornet or a yellow jacket? I think it's a yellow jacket. Do yellow jackets live in the ground? I was fishing the farm pond at at my hunting camp back in the day when I was like 12, and I was walking around, supposed to be deer hunting, but I was fishing instead. And there are ground hornets, okay, or yellow jackets too, okay. So yellow jackets are in the ground too. All right, yellow jackets build underground nests. Okay, so I was walking around this pond, and it was like literally in the middle of nowhere, like an hour from like a small town. So there's no like city noise, there's no town noise, there's no industrial commercial, there's no noise. You know what I mean? Like if you go out there and at night, like you see all the stars because there's no like smog or any kind of like it's just like God's country. So um, I'm fishing this pond in the middle of the day out there by myself. There's nobody, there's no trucks, there's like literally I got dropped off and it's just me. And I'm walking around this pond fishing. And I keep hearing this like this weird droning hum. I was like, what is that? And I keep trying to like follow my ear. And I'm like looking around. I'm like, what is going on? What is this weird noise? And I keep walking around the bank and I'm looking. I'm like, all right, it's right here somewhere. And I find the noise, this hum, and there's this like little hole in the ground. I was like, what is in this hole making this noise? And I like walk up to it and I start looking at it, and then I get pop, 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 and I'm getting lit, dude. I'm like, ow, what the fuck? And I like look out of the hole, or I look into the hole, and these damn yellow jackets are like flying out of there as fast as they can. And I guess my footsteps disturbed them, and dude, they lit my ass up. And I'd never seen a yellow jacket, heard of one. Like, it's just not something that we typically see. Red bluffs are everywhere. That was normal. Hornet's nest occasionally, shit like that. But I didn't know there was anything like that living in the damn ground. But I learned there was that day. Um, but those son of a bitches hurt. And at that point, I don't know that I'd ever been stung with by a wasp or like a bee or anything like that. And those damn yellow jackets, they'll get your ass, dude. They hurt. My damn fingers swelled up like little hot dog weenies. Um, they're bad. But I watch where I walk now. They build impressive colonies underground. Sometimes there's thousands of them. Yeah, there was probably thousands in this damn hole because I started running and it was like you see on like old like cartoons, like where there's like a cloud of bugs flying. So I just took my rod and I was booking it running across the damn pasture, and I looked behind me and you could see them like swarming around the hole. Um, there's always two holes. That's interesting. Flies should be the state bird of Pennsylvania. Cutting corn for silage and spreading cow shit all around me. Flies are terrible. Yeah, I'm not a fly fan. Um, I think the state bird of Alabama should be La Cucarachas. Damn things are everywhere. You and Granny got popped by some yellow jackets. Those things aren't fun. An armadillo will tear the shit out of a yellow jacket nest. I love an armadillo, dude. I've been wanting to do an armadillo t-shirt just because I think armadillos are badass and they're fun to like play with, like kick them around and stuff. Uh, poured gas in the spot where I found them and dug it out later. Ended up with a wheelbarrow full of their nest. That's pretty cool, Tim. Oh, you got the assault gun, Marty, or what do they call it? I thought about getting one of those, but I don't really want to spray salt everywhere because I know I'd probably kill everything within damn salt gun radius of my house. Well, I got I think I need to go to Harbor Freight and buy some damn bug assault is what it's called, I believe. Is that what it's called? Y'all don't have dillas in North Carolina, Tim? Armadillos are. My dad doesn't like them because they get into his garden, but I always think I don't. He always wants to kill them, and I always have to push the barrel down and say no, we're not we're not gonna we're not gonna kill this. We're not gonna kill this Dilla. He's not hurting anything besides your vegetables, but just let him be. Let him be. I really like possums. I don't know what's cooler, a possum or a. Dude, I saw a Sherrilunker possum up in the woods one day. That had to have been like a damn 25-pounder, dude. It was freaky looking. It was so big. It looked like a damn bobcat. But he just looked like 100 years old and like he was blind. But he was huge. Huge. They eat quail eggs. We don't have any quail anymore anyway. I guess probably from armadillos and coyotes. But You got a giant. You got a giant possum, AJ. We've got. Do you feed it? Is it your pet or is it wild? Casey, I want to say I've seen some weird video on YouTube of an armadillo swimming. Um, I need to go back and look that up. Coons, dillas, possums, and fire ants are all hard on quail. Yeah, I think everything that's crawling around right now is detrimental to the quail population. I think the fire ants are really bad. It's wild. I jumped one up by the creek and saw it. Oh, yeah, I bet you were thinking, oh, this thing's just going to sit out here and drown. Wrong answer. The damn torpedo swam off and popped up on the other side of the bank like he's damn Michael Phelps. Oh. Well, I guess I'm gonna get all these baits sent out. Get some bills paid. But anyway, we've got bear, deer, mountain lions, and bobcats. We've got a little small growing bear population down here in South Alabama. People used to talk about it when I was in high school. They say, "Oh, we saw a bear." It's like, "No, you didn't see a damn bear." Now bears are like running around people's yards. But no mountain lions either. Where we hunt in Kansas supposedly has mountain lions, but I haven't seen one yet. I'm not a big fan of big cats, so I hope I don't ever see one. But they say they've got them. The Roadrunner. I don't know much about Roadrunners either. Got lots of bears. The bears are pretty destructive, from what I gather from my friends that have them on their hunting property. That it's you can't just put out like a deer feeder anymore because the bear will just completely rip it to shreds, knock it over, rip it up, chew it up. 5-acre pond built on YouTube might be your neighbor. I've seen 2 mountain lions in my life, one in Nebraska and one in South Dakota. Tim, you got Sam Squatches? I told y'all about the guy that was doing AC work at my house that said he had Sasquatches that came and swam in his pool at night, didn't he? He seemed a little methed up, but somehow when he was in our house fixing to leave, we got to talking and Sasquatch came up, and I was like making a joke about Sasquatch or something, and he's like, "Oh, there's one out at Big Creek Lake." He's like, "I live out there." I'm like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I hear him all the time." I'm like, "You do?" He's like, "Yeah. He comes and gets in my pool like Sasquatch does." He's like, "Yeah, it makes this crazy racket." And he's like, "I'll come out." He's like, "My pool will be really clean and nice, and I'll come out in the morning." And he said there'll be like dirt and shit all in the bottom of the pool, and there'll be giant hairballs floating around in the water. So, Sasquatch gets in there and swims in my pool at night. Like, maybe you should put out a camera of Sasquatch. I was like, Sasquatch come in your pool often? He's like, yeah, fairly often. It's like, you don't think that might be a bear? He's like, nah, definitely a Sasquatch. You're probably right. I didn't want to get into a pissing contest with this guy talking about Sasquatch swimming in his fucking pool. But I'm like, well, if you had a half a brain and you could get video evidence of Sasquatch swimming in your pool, you would probably be a millionaire overnight, bro. So maybe consider putting up a little dumbass Ring camera or something in the back if you've got a Squatch in your pool, lounging around with other Squatches. A wood booger. If you had a wood booger get in your pool, I'd think the smell would be the first thing you noticed. Are Squatches supposed to be stinky? Hayden, Steven's right up the road from me. He's probably like 20 minutes away. Haven't heard from him in a while. I used to paint a bunch of baits for Steven and Bama Bass, for those of you familiar with him on the YouTubes. But when COVID hit, he had a batch of baits that I was waiting to paint for him, and COVID hit. And he's like, "Yeah, don't do those." I'm like, why? He's like, I gotta wait to see what this COVID shit does. Hindsight is, he should have bought them because they would have sold immediately because fishing tackle sold at a all-time high during this period because everybody was, everybody knows the deal. But I guess he didn't know what was going to happen. Turns out you couldn't sell fishing stuff fast enough, or you couldn't make it fast enough. Everybody was buying. So I want to say that was probably 2 years ago. I used to talk to Steven all the time. Went fishing with him. But I haven't heard from him in about 2 years since he started, since COVID. That May, I think, was the last time I heard from him. Had a cougar stalk me next to an ostrich farm. Had a stringer of fish over my shoulder and 3 miles to walk at night down the creek bottom. I was probably 14. Casey, I'll probably pass on that shit, bro. I would have probably left that cougar my fish and booked it down the road. Get a video of you shotgunning a beer with a Squatch. That's what I'm saying. This guy needs to like make buddies with this Squatch in his pool. They say they stink. I've never seen one myself. Tim, so your granny was a believer that Sasquatches existed? He was Stephen was telling me about this pond idea like a year or two before it happened. He's like, I want a pond, and he's like, I'm gonna try and find some property and build a pond on it, and like, be able to fish my own pond. Like, that'd be awesome. He's like, yeah. Then like, if you want to come over and film a show, he's like, you can just come over to my house and not have to like go somewhere. Sounds awesome to me. So, I need to like, I don't really want to personally, at this point, it's not about me wanting to fish Stevens Pond, but I would like to be able to take my daughters and my wife maybe over there and have them like catch brim or something, and it would be a good place to for them to learn the ways of fishing, where you can make it exciting and catch a bunch of fish and some like decent sized ones and shit like that. So I need to call and check on old Steven so I can get the invite card for the daughters and the wife. My grandpa swore something lived in the swamp and it walked. Half Cherokee, half German. It's an interesting combo. If I found an old Champion bass boat in Alabama, could I pay you to look it over, then let me know what shape it's in? Depends on what part of Alabama. I mean, if it's in South Alabama, sure. Or South Mississippi or West Florida. I mean, that's all within 45 minutes of me. Anyway, someone is going to get shot over that $25,000 reward and requires a hunting license. I wonder how many licenses they sold. It's pretty brilliant. Talking about a Rougarou? Maybe. Swamp ape? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, Morty. I think I'm just going to pull up at the door with Bean holding her little fishing pole and say, ask Mr. Steven if you can go fish in his pond. And when she bats those eyes and smiles, he's going to say, here's the damn gate key. Here you go, Bean. Fish all you want. And she'll go, thank you. Hey, Hayden Green, Casey says there's a 20-foot champion for $10,000 on Bass Boats for Sale website right now. Reputable seller that he knows. So might be worth checking that out. Where's it at, Casey? Do you know what state it might be in? There's a $1 million. It's in Houston. There's a $1 million reward for a Bigfoot. Wow, that's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. Little girls do melt hearts. Hayden, that's a pretty good. I mean, that's like a day. That's 4 hours there and 4 hours back. So that would be an 8-hour day of driving. I have friends in Birmingham, though. Tons of people in Birmingham. But anyway, what is a Rougarou? Wolf and Sasquatch mated and had a Rougarou? I don't know. I thought it was just a creature, swamp creature. My buddy runs a 90 model Champion 201. It's a nice rig. I don't know why. So call me crazy, but if you look at like an old Ranger, like if I was on a budget, which I am, but if I were looking to get into a boat and I had a limited budget, tell me why you couldn't do this. So one thing I've noticed about the old, like I would probably try to find like a late 90s or like early 2000, like maybe like a Ranger. And one thing I noticed about the old Rangers compared to newer boaters is that the top cap from the deck to the cap, they were tall on the old ones, right? So from the deck to the side over to the rub rail, it's like a tall section. Why couldn't you take an old Ranger, pull the rub rail off, take the cap off and cut it down to where your sides were much shorter, and then reinstall it. So you would have like a sporty, you would have a sporty looking boat, like still a good boat, but it would look updated because the gunnels weren't tall. Right. I've always wondered if that was possible. If you could take all these older boats that had the real tall gunnels, thank you for the term, Tim, and cut them down and make it look like up to date. Casey, I wouldn't get a Ranger, but the Ranger is what I always thought of when using this idea. Do you think you'd have to be a top-notch glass guy? I guess you would. Yeah, I've always heard that those Rangers were rough as shit and wet boats and all that good shit. Hayden, you want to give me $1,000 to go look at a boat? Sure. Send me a message. I'll go tomorrow. And send pictures. And FaceTime. Casey said he's got time. He'll leave. .400 series Rangers were good hulls, but they were rigid as hell. They'd beat you to death. Yeah, I fished with a guy. Do you know how to compression test? No, I don't have the shit to do it, but you could probably schedule it to go somewhere, like to take it somewhere. That way you could get, legit readings. Because there's tons of damn dealerships out there in Birmingham. But we might have the shit here to do it. I don't think I do though. I mean, I don't think it's that hard. You just take the spark plug out and then put the little compression thing in there, and turn the motor over, right? You just do it for each cylinder. But I could certainly do that if I could figure out where to get one of the little compression testers. Casey said this Champion he's talking about has really good compression tests and all new gauges. It's really a nice boat. Not much Nasty Nate. Yeah, I don't know where you could find the compression gauges locally. What part of Birmingham is it? Send me a message, Hayden. on Instagram or Facebook, or email me, tacklecraft@gmail.com. Let's see if we could work something out. But when are you going to update the Tri-Dog motor? I would like, knock on wood, I'm happy with my motor. The only thing I'd really like on my boat right now is I would like it wet sanded and polished, waxed, and new carpet and seats. And maybe probably a new trailer. You don't do Sucker Turd or Instagram. Well, email me, tacklecraft, craft with a K, at Gmail. Compression tests are just one aspect of inspecting an outboard. Yep. That's the thing. I rather it would probably be better to take it to somebody and have them check it out. That way you get like a printout and you know exactly what you're getting. Which I don't think would be too hard to schedule in Birmingham. Like I said, there's boat dealers everywhere in Birmingham. And you've got something to fall back on, you know. Hayden, what year is it? What year is this Champion? Kyle, I can. That's I don't want somebody else to do that for me. I'll do it. I've got the damn thing over here. It's sitting here waiting on me, but I need a day to do that. So got it's got an Optimax on it. If it's got a 2004 200 Optimax, that is a damn beast. That's really like a 225 or more, depends. I think it's got a 225 block on it. The boat is at Mealy Marine. They do project boats, but this one didn't need any fiberglass work, so they're just updating it with the new. Sounds pretty nice, especially for 10K. Let me know. I know a little about outboards, but there's a ton of stuff I could overlook, meaning I don't do it every day. Yeah, that's how I am, Tim. I could certainly go through the general stuff and get a good feeling about it, but I don't know that you could. There's probably a ton of shit that I would miss not looking at boats all day every day. And I'm not really familiar with Champions. Like if it were a Triton, yeah, I would probably pick up everything. But I'm not familiar with how a Champion's laid out. Which they're pretty standard, but I don't know what everything's supposed to look like. Like on a Triton, I know what everything's supposed to look like from like 2002 to 5 years ago. So anyway, all right, dudes. Y'all be good. Casey, thanks for stopping in. Good job at the tourney over the weekend. 5th place, solid finish. Got a little scratch in your pocket, I'm assuming. congrats. Also, congrats to Epic Eric and Scooter Lily on their big win over the weekend. 30K. 30. That's right. Comma 00.00. That's right. $30,000 win. It's a big one, especially locally. Anywho. All right, y'all be good, Instagram. See y'all later. And now, Hayden, Kyle, Tim, Nasty Nate, y'all be good. AJ, hello, everybody. We'll see y'all later. Good talking to y'all. Peace.